Hello and welcome to this edition of Bayou Time. I'm your host, Keith Whiteside, licensed clinical social worker. Thank you for joining us, however you may be joining us. We appreciate it very, very much. You know, we here at HTV always like to get updates, especially things that are impacting our communities and what's happening. We welcome back to the program Chet Chiasson. Chet is with the executive director with the Greater Lafourche Port Commission. And Chet, always like to find out what's going on with you guys and just some updates about what's happening down the bayou.
Thank you, Keith. Thanks for having me on today. So we're making progress down the bayou in terms of the port itself and moving all that debris out. We talked about that several times in the last couple of weeks, or couple of months, should I say.
Right.
And then our tenants are making progress as well in getting some of their work done that needs to be done to get some repairs and get back to full operation. And from the Port Commission standpoint, we're finally in a place where we can start. We're having to follow through the FEMA process, as all government entities know. It's a struggle because it takes so long, but we're finally in a position to start awarding some of these design contracts, and which we've done over the last week and a half, so that we can get our facilities, our port assets back up and running at 100%, getting our office building in Cutoff, Galliano, back up to par, getting our facilities in the port, our EOC and our operations center pieced back together fully. They're operational, but those two in Fourchon are operational, but they're not, there's drywall and that flooring and that sort of stuff that needs to be repaired. We have a maintenance shop that needs to be repaired, and we need to build our wharves back so that our commercial fishing industry can have good and more reliable dock space during the upcoming shrimp season, and as well as our recreational fishermen utilizing the public boat launch in the port, getting those wharves and getting that back up and running for this summer, hopefully, so that can be fully operational.
Yeah, it's been awfully amazing as we talked about how quickly y'all were able to really get back to work. And now we're trying to get back to what was normal. Not really sure what that means anymore, but certainly getting back to being able to be comfortable in your buildings, comfortable where people can come and go. And, the commercial and recreational fishermen, huge aspect of our lives down here in South Louisiana. So really, really important to get those back and running.
That's correct, and we've historically been a port that's been open to not just industry, from a energy perspective, but absolutely for commercial and recreational fishing, and we want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to get them those dock areas that they can utilize for safe harbor and standing by for things that they need to do.
Very good. Really excited about that. And so now here we have another layer of looking at what our future is like as we hear some additional decisions, this federal judge making a decision. Can we start talking about that a little bit and
Sure.
this recent decision, just so people understand what the decision is and what that means right now?
So if you recall, a few months back, there was a court case that basically a federal court decided that not having a lease sale was against the law. So the lease sale was had in November. And then now what we're seeing, and it was taking some time for the operators who bid on those leases to get their documents back from Department of Interior that showed, hey, here's your lease, here's how much you paid, and all of the documents that go when you purchase a lease
Okay.
in the Gulf of Mexico for offshore drilling and production. Well, now we know why it was taking so long to get those documents is because there was a plan afoot to have another court, another federal judge say that those leases were done illegally because it needed another environmental analysis. So obviously that's up for interpretation, and the operators are saying that's not the case at all, that everything was done properly, and I believe that as
Mm-hmm.
well. So there's going to be more activity taking place. There have been numerous meetings since. So that information dropped last Thursday
Okay.
when we were, a lot of us were in Washington, D.C. For meetings and the Washington Mardi Gras events. So obviously there was a lot of stir on that evening, Thursday evening last week, and it's continued today. And, there's been a lot of discussion, a lot of meetings going on, a lot of talk about how to combat this issue. So, you know, I guess at this point it's still out, and people are putting the operators are putting themselves together and a plan of action together. The industry organizations are putting their plans together on how to combat this federal judge's opinion.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things that we're dealing with regards to some legalities about what one person's opinion is, or what this federal judge's opinion is about how that should be handled. It's really nice to see that we in our area are going to come together and kind of meet and talk with them. We were talking just a little bit about this federal judge's recent decision, and it's really interesting. I know that there's a lot of discussion about how we want to move forward and how we want to be able to have a little bit cleaner energy use. Right now, we don't have very many options, and it would just be nice if people would spend their time and energy talking about what to do and how to do it in the future, without really just trying to stop where we can get most of our energy source and resources right now.
Right. From our standpoint, and I think it's the right standpoint always, is a balanced approach to our energy portfolio in the country. And, you know, artificially impacting like this lease sale, and really just pulling that and seeing that it needs to go through more environmental assessment before maybe they would have another lease sale, is something that, we deal in a marketplace, right? So whenever you have issues like this, it basically artificially impacts the market. So now we have inflation because of the price of a barrel of oil, the price of gas at the pump. So that hits everybody in the pocket on a daily basis. So in order to try to protect ourselves from that, we need to be realistic about our energy approach in the country. Oil and gas is always going to be there. And it's necessary because we can't enjoy the things that we enjoy every day in our life without petroleum products. So we need to be real about that. And we're not saying that that's the only way,
Mm-hmm.
but we're saying that that is a real way. And added to that, the U.S. Gulf of Mexico produces the cleanest, uh, in terms of carbon emissions, barrel of oil in the world. So we're doing our best. We're doing the things that we can do to protect our environment, because no one wants to hurt our environment.
Right.
So let's be real about that, and then move towards renewable sources. And we want to play a part in that. The state of Louisiana is heavily involved in the the potential Gulf of Mexico offshore wind establishments. The port is heavily involved in that as well. So is the parish government, our state legislature. We in fact, just yesterday, we had a task force of BOEM, Bureau of Ocean Energy Management, offshore Gulf of Mexico offshore wind task force meeting for several hours, talking about the progress that's being made by BOEM and Bessie on selling leases for offshore wind. So we're involved in that, and working hard to put ourselves in a position for our customers of Port Fourchon and the businesses along the Gulf Coast, especially in Louisiana, to be that service base, to be the fabricators for all of the work that's going to take place in the Gulf of Mexico, because we already are the leaders in that, right? We already are the leaders in servicing offshore energy today. So there's no reason why we shouldn't be the leaders in servicing, producing, building, fabricating offshore renewable energy pieces and components and parts on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So we're putting ourselves in that position.
Right, and it's been an effort to be able to do that in some transition, but we're already doing it cleaner than anybody else in the world. Let's at
correct.
least address the fact that we can continue to do that while we're looking for some alternatives, and again, being able to do those together. And so the port is committed to and dedicated to and meeting very regularly with how to do that.
Absolutely. And we can't be, because that's what it feels like, right? That's what it feels like in today's society when you're dealing with some of the federal government partners, is because of who we are and because who we've been historically in the state of Louisiana, we may be, for lack of a better term, punished or put to the side for any type of infrastructure dollars because we have an oil and gas component to our life. I think that's really unfair, because if you hold federal dollars away from us in the state of Louisiana, and particularly in South Louisiana and our region, then that hampers us from being able to move forward and embark on these things that will actually achieve the goals that the administration has. So that's kind of the narrative that we're trying to make sure everyone understands, that our congressional delegation understands, to be saying, hey, look, yes, we have historically been an oil and gas state, and we're going to continue to be, but we can help you also achieve the goals that you have for lower carbon emissions and renewable energy. We can be all of the above. We can be that group because we have the expertise in it.
Right, and it's something that you've done for a long, long time, and just because of the way we used to do it doesn't mean that's how we're going to do it in the future. We just need to find a way to bridge the gap. And so don't just cut off all the funds because you don't think what's working right now is the best possible way to do it. They need to rely on you guys as the experts with regards to how we transition to that. Chet, we always appreciate your knowledge and what you do and what the port does and what it means, and we're going to continue to work forward with those things, but always appreciate your time and your updates.
Thank you, Keith. Very appreciate it.
All right. We look forward to talking to you really soon. Again, that's Chet Chiasson, who is the Executive Director of the Greater Lafourche Port Commission, talking about what some of the options are as we deal with some of the decisions made over in D.C. All right. That will do it for this particular segment. Don't go anywhere. A lot more Bayou time when we continue.